A few years back, I was backpacking with a friend across Korea. For the most part, it was absolutely amazing. I definitely recommend it to anyone who is interested in exploring a country to its fullest. However, my only word of caution is, maybe it's a good idea to travel with someone spiritually gifted. Otherwise, be very careful of where you go and stay. Anyone who knows anything about backpacking knows that you spend most of your nights at the cheapest, ran-down locations available. Traveling on a budget is tough, but very doable if you plan ahead of time. Hostels are available in just about any city you're at. Just don't expect them to be easily accessible though. If you're outside of the big cities like Seoul, you'll find yourself searching through a neighborhood of nothing before you run into a little sign that says hostel or guest house. Most of the time, you get what you pay for, a ran-down, unkempt, moldy, and musty room shared with a few other backpackers. Honestly, these dirt-cheap places didn't bother me one bit, since I never found myself sleeping for more than a few hours each night. Plus, I'm a very low-maintenance kind of guy. My friend, however, didn't quite have the same experience as I did. Let's just start out by saying that he was on edge the entire last portion of our trip, and I'll tell you why. So, without further ado, let's get this story started. We were traveling through a city called Daegu. It was a pretty nice city, not so busy like Seoul was, but busy enough to notice the buzzing Koreans running about. Anyways, while we were there, we ended up booking a hostel for us to stay at for a few nights. From the outside, it looked like a Super 8 motel, but the inside was built just like any other hostel, dormitory-styled, 3 bunk beds, 1 fan, and 1 bathroom shared between all guests on the floor. On that day, my friend Thu and I checked into the hostel around the late afternoon time. We were on the first floor. After checking in, we decided to walk about to explore the city while we were there. We eventually toured around for a few blocks and decided to get something to eat. Across our hostel and a few blocks down, there was a generic family diner where we decided to grab a little something to eat and some soju to drink. While we were waiting for our food to arrive, we were just laughing, joking, and having a good time. However, within a subtle heartbeat, Thu's mood just changed. He began to fixate on something outside the window that immediately caused him to stop laughing. I looked outside the window to observe what Thu was looking at, and he was literally staring at nothing. So I asked him, "What are you looking at?" He didn't respond. I had to repeat myself twice before he said anything. "Let's not go back to the hostel just yet," he tells me. Okay, what the hell? I thought to myself. I asked him why, and he just shook his head. I shrugged. We still had our food to eat anyways. Thu comes from a family of shamans. Literally, his whole family was a pack of shamans. I mean, seriously, real-life edition of Shaman King. However, Thu was never quite spiritually inclined. He was the normal one of the family, or so everyone thought. I, on the other hand, never ever believed in ghosts, spirits, and all those things. I mean, I believe in them now, but before this whole incident occurred, I was that dumb white girl in horror movies that would go down a dark staircase in an abandoned house and think everything would turn out okay. Yeah, I was that dumb girl. Anyways, back to the story. After we finished eating, we decided to go find a place to wait until the coast was clear. To be honest, me being the dumb person that I was about to walk straight back to the hostel. I remember totally forgetting about that strange moment Thu had at the diner. But before I could even take a step, Thu grabbed my arm with lightning speed. At the time, I didn't know what Thu was all fussing about, but he insisted that we went to a bar or something. And so we did. We found this little random bar with just a few customers hanging out. We sat there, drank a few drinks, then Thu decided to use the bathroom. "Be right back," he said. 10 minutes passed. He wasn't back yet. 10 minutes turned into 20. 20 turned into 30, and 30 into an hour. He never came back. What the heck, Thu? This guy probably ate too much kimchi and had to take a giant dookie or something, I thought to myself. Tired of waiting, I finally decided to go check the bathroom for him. Not to my surprise, he wasn't there. At that moment, I began to suspect that Thu was messing with me this whole time. Thu was also a little crap like that. Thu the prankster got me again. After feeling like an idiot, I decided to walk back to the hostel. It was already past 2 a.m. and I was getting ready for bed. When I got back to the hostel, everything was pitch black except for the little nightlight that shined in front of the bathroom entrance. I needed to take a leak real bad, so I headed to the restroom, but as I approached the door, the sign read, Women's WC. Ugh, the men's restroom was on the second floor. So I stumbled up to the second floor in the dark and finally reached the men's restroom. Again, the nightlight was the only light shining in the hallway of the second floor as well. I pushed the door to the restroom open, then whoosh, the most foul, moist, and disgusting smell just engulfed my nostrils. I nearly vomited and choked all in the same motion. I coughed several times before recovering myself. Even with my nose plugged and mouth covered, I could smell the stench seeping into my orifices. The bathroom smelled that bad. I can't even explain how bad it really was. It was like crap mixed with vomit, mixed with mold and rotten garbage, all on a summer day. It was extremely disgusting. Never had I ever smelled anything so foul before. I almost opted for the women's bathroom at that point, but I decided to put up with the stench because I just couldn't hold my pee in any longer. Without much thought, I jumped right in and started releasing my stream of piss into the nearest urinal. The bathroom was set up with 2 urinals against a wall and 2 toilet stalls directly in front of them, so that if I was peeing in the urinal, the toilet stalls would be located right behind me. As I was peeing, I twisted my neck around to see what could be causing the god-awful smell. It was then when I noticed that one of the toilet stalls was occupied. Someone was taking a massive dump. I could hear water trickling into the toilet bowl. Drip, drip, drip. I shook my head and thought to myself, "Goodness, sir, your dump smells absolutely awful." Running out of breath, I pushed as hard as I could to squeeze all the urine out of me. I jumped right back out of the restroom. Whew, fresh air. After my bathroom experience, I was just ready for bed. I crept back down to the first floor where our dormitory was. I slid our bedroom door open and looked around in the dark to see where I was going. Like I mentioned before, there were 3 bunk beds all lined up around the room. Thu in my bunk bed was the one nearest to the door, so I had no trouble getting into the bed. Squinting in the dark, I was able to make out that the other backpackers were already fast asleep on their beds as well. However, Thu was not in bed yet. He was supposed to have the bottom bunk while I had the top. As I sat on top of the bed, I wondered where the heck that guy could have ran off to. While I was in the process of thinking where he could have gone to, I slowly drifted to sleep. The next thing I remembered was waking up to someone shaking me. It was Thu. I was about to say, "What the heck? Where did you go?" But he covered my mouth and put a finger up to his mouth, signaling me to be quiet. I was extremely disoriented as I'd just been woken up, but I was able to tell that it was still nighttime. I probably only had been sleeping for only 30 minutes. I shook Lou off a few times, and I'm sure I gave him that one look that says, "Hey, I'm trying to sleep." Then he harshly whispers into my ear, "Hurry, get down here." His voice was quivering with fear. He was clearly afraid of something. Then, all of a sudden, I heard a boom, then a clunk come from outside of our dormitory door. What is that? Without hesitation, I scurried down the bed. Boo signaled for us to hide underneath the bunk bed. Boom, clunk. We both heard the sound again and instantly dove under the bunk bed. We laid curled up in fetal positions. Again, boom, clunk. This time it was closer. Boom, clunk, and closer. Boom, clunk, until it was directly outside of our door. I heard the handle piece on our door jangle once or twice. Then, our dormitory door slowly slid halfway open, and whoosh, a familiar, disgusting smell filled our room. I immediately recognized the smell. It was the same disgusting smell from the men's bathroom. I instantly knew that this was something way beyond me. I had never been so scared in my entire life. I even started to cry, although I was too afraid to breathe or even make a sound. All I could do from underneath the bunk bed was stare out through my teary eyes. I stared straight at the doorway with the hope that nothing would come walking in. In that same position, I stayed there for what seemed like 100 years. I didn't breathe, I didn't blink, I didn't move even an inch. I was petrified. I just watched. I never saw anything come in, but the smell lingered in the room the whole time we lay there. Boo was shaking uncontrollably. It was almost as if he was having a seizure. You could tell he was just trembling due to fear, though. I opened my mouth to ask him if he was okay, but before I could even make a sound, Boo's eyes widened and he shook his head vigorously. It was that intense stare that said, "Don't say anything or we're dead." I stopped myself from saying a word. I turned my head back around and continued to stare at the door from underneath the bunk bed. I don't know how long we actually laid there, but I eventually knocked out from exhaustion. The next morning, Boo and I immediately got up, crawled out from under the bunk bed, and began to pack our bags to leave. I looked at him to see if I could get some kind of confirmation from him. I just wanted any sign that would say yesterday did not really happen. His eyes were sunken in, baggy and red. He frowned and shook his head with disbelief. I returned the headshake of disbelief. Last night really happened, and we both knew it. As we shoved things into our bags, we started to hear a rumble of commotion happening in the hallways. We heard sirens and people yelling back and forth. Not understanding Korean, we had no idea what was going on, so we peeked our heads from outside our door. I wasn't too sure about who the people were because their uniforms weren't anything like the uniforms here in America. I couldn't tell if they were ambulance workers, policemen, investigators, custodians, or what. All I knew was that they were all busy with something. Regrettably, at that exact moment, we saw two men carrying down someone in a bright orange body bag on a stretcher. Someone had died in the hostel. The two men proceeded to haul the body outside. As they carried the body past our door, I got a brief whiff of the horrid smell again. That same smell from the men's bathroom. That same smell that visited us last night. At that moment, I was finally able to put a name to the smell. It was death. It was the smell of rotten, decomposing, human flesh. Shivers went up and down my spine, and I began packing with top speed. Not to our surprise, as we were checking out, a few other backpackers decided to leave as well. I'm sure everyone who saw the morning incident was frantic about leaving. Most of us had paid for multiple nights at the hostel, and we were asking for a refund. The manager apologized for the inconvenience and insisted that we could stay all free of charge. Bill and I quickly declined, got our refund, and left. Weeks later, when we were back in America again, Bill and I finally gathered the courage to talk about that night. Since the incident, he had not said a single thing about it, even though we both knew that it was on our minds. This was when he finally revealed to me everything about what he saw. Lou said that the second we checked into the hostel, he noticed that everything was off. After checking in, we were walking to put our bags into our room. He said he saw a man waving for him to go upstairs to the second floor. I had totally forgotten that Lou gave me his bag at this time and told me to carry it to the room for him. He didn't think anything of the man and went up to the staircase to see what he wanted. Before Lou reached the top of the staircase, the man walked away and went into the men's bathroom. My friend followed him into the bathroom, smelled the awful smell, and then just backed away. He knew he had made a mistake. At this time, Lou came running back down and rushed for us to leave and explore the town. He didn't mention the incident to me. At the diner, while we were laughing and joking, the window we were sitting at was facing the entrance to the hostel. While we were sitting there, the reason why Lou stopped laughing was because, as he looked out the window, he said he saw the man waving at him again. The whole dinner, he did not mention anything to me. At the bar, when he left me to use the restroom, he said as he was about to go into the bar's bathroom, he saw the same man walk right before him. He got scared and ran off to find another bathroom. When he finally came back and noticed that I wasn't there, he knew that I had gone back to the hostel. That night, when we had the dead visitor in our room, Lou came into the hostel to look for me. He already had a bad feeling, so he rushed in to wake me up. The second I woke up was when the noises started happening. That's when we jumped under the bunk bed. From under the bunk bed, even though I couldn't see anything, he said he saw the man walk into our room and sit directly on top of us on Lou's lower bunk. He could only see the man's feet, but he said that it was the most horrifying and disgusting thing he has ever seen. The flesh was all rotten, the heel was open and oozing, and the toes were angled and bony. I can't believe it. He waited this long to tell me. Fortunately, after the next day and after the authorities took the body away, Lou stopped seeing this man. He thinks the man was trying to get him to find his rotten body in the bathroom, but Lou was like, screw that crap. And I agree with him. Definitely forget about that. Hey, if you're looking for a Korean oppa, I'm sorry, but you'll only find ghosts and spirits over there in Korea. By the way, have you guys seen that Korean horror movie Exuma? It's so good, I recommend you check it out.